A beautiful morning to you, and welcome to the newspaper review right here at Prime Media TV. Today, we bring to you something really interesting, the news making round the table all over Nigeria, and one of which is about the the Meduguri flood that has led to loss of lives, that has led to people being displaced. And today, we are going to give you information on what is happening currently, what the people of Bonu, Meduguri are facing currently. And I am not here alone. With me to analyze all the stories today is my co-host, Mr. Israel. Good to have you here today.
Yeah, good morning and thank you.
So we'll be bringing to you a lot of interesting stories today. Please stay tuned. Now, at least 4,014 people have been displaced and another 30 killed by the devastating flood in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, on Tuesday. National Emergency Management Agency said the flood began after the Aliu Dam overflowed following heavy rain, leading to the town's worst flooding in 30 years. According to the United Nations Human Rights Refugee Council and Maiduguri Metropolitan Council residents, according to NEMA, more than 23,000 households have been hit by the rapid rise of water following the weekend rupture of Aliu Dam on the Ngada River, 20 kilometers south of Maiduguri. Reports indicate the water had receded as of Wednesday after 70% of Maiduguri was submerged by the fast-moving waters, according to NEMA, which ravaged major city locations, including the palace of the Shehu of BORNO. All right. Before now, we've taken a story about what could have led to this flooding. Considering the effects it left on the people of Nigeria, particularly the northern part, 30 years ago when it happened. We've discussed on why measures that could have been put in place to ensure that something like this never happened again. And now that it has happened, we're looking at what the government can do, to cushion the effect on the people, right? Because this very one happened to be worse than the one that have been witnessed before now in the state. And today we are looking at the aftermath of this flood. We've seen that a lot of people have been displaced. We've seen that it has led to death of people. We've seen destruction of so many things. So we are going to be looking at now what becomes the fate of these people that has been displaced. So we have a video also of what the pain this flood has incurred on the people, the loss of life, destruction, how people's houses have been flooded. But I would like to get your thoughts on this. What do you think now, with the way that considering the administration we are into, the kind of government we have, that we know that they are not a listening government, what do you think becomes the fate of these people that have been displaced, these people whose houses have been taken over by flood, people who possibly their business centers has equally been affected, their source of livelihood has been affected? What do you think becomes their fate, considering the kind of government we have, that we know that they don't listen to the cry of the people? I would like to hear your thoughts on what becomes the fate of the citizens, considering the fact that we are even facing hard time in the country. Now, this is happening. What do you think becomes the fate of these people?
To start with, it is heartbreaking to think of the families who have been bereaved by this flooding. I can only imagine the pains they are going through at this point because it is really really a sad story. Lives have been lost, properties have been shattered. A whole lot of displacement in terms of lives and properties, livelihood have been ruined. So at this point in time, I can only imagine the pain and suffering that the people of Meduguri are going through right now. My thoughts and prayers is that I hope they find strength and resilience to get through this difficult time. I just hope in times like this, together as a nation, we can only come together and support ourselves to make sure this phase passes, and this is time the government needs to really pay quality attention, because this is a life threatening disaster. This is in fact, lives have been lost already, like I earlier said. Life and properties have been lost, livelihood has been displaced, has been ruined. So this is time the government need to pay quality attention to the people and hear their cry, because it is not a good, from the pictures and the videos that we've seen, it is not a good thing to see people go through all of this at the moment. So I think it's high time the government would come out, listen to the people. Even individuals can also come to rescue, pay the support they can in their own capacity, to see to how they can be able to arrest and tackle this issue with immediate effect, so that more lives will not be lost.
All right. The truth is that the government we have is a very, let me use the word wonderful government, because we know that had things that ought to be done, had it been the government play their part, or are always playing their part, there will be no need for this occurrence. Had it been the people they pay for certain tax, for certain responsibilities, are monitored to ensure that they are doing their job. Just imagine, we've seen series of pictures of how people are being, before now there is a case of hardship in the land, that people are finding it difficult to cope with the economy. And now, at least somebody who is hungry should have a roof over his head.
Of course.
But now people have been displaced. And now we heard of about 9 IDP camps that people have been moved to. Now, what becomes of them in that IDP camp? In that IDP camps, there won't be comfort. Now their source of livelihood, of course, must have been affected. So how do they feed? In that IDP camp, you see a family of 4, you can see a family of 5, a family of 6, things like that. We know how people in the north, how they are very good in production in terms of baby making. You can imagine what it will just. It's possible to have a family of 10. Now, how will they cope in these IDP camps? Now, I don't know. I would like to hear your thoughts on that now. That aside moving these people to IDP camps, what more do you think the government should do to cushion the effect of this? Because sincerely, the economy, the country is already very hard, and this one is just a kind of the climax of it. After going about in the day to toil about, when you come back, there is confidence when you have a place to go and rest your head. Now, these people don't have a place to go and rest. A lot of places have been affected. Health centers, schools, even government-owned properties have been affected. Now, aside people being moved to IDP camp, what next? What else do you think the government really? Because this time is not really a time that we'll begin to see political propagandas, somebody trying to make a profit from the problem that the people are going through. What do you think the federal government should be doing? The state government should be doing, because this is not a thing that should be left for the state government alone. What do you think they should be doing more to ensure that even those in IDP camp are well taken care of, are well fed, the children are well taken care of? Because now there will be outbreak of illness like cholera. There will be outbreak of some diseases. So what do you think the government need to be doing to ensure that further problem do not emanate from this problem?
That is exactly the reason I said this is the point whereby government needs to really sit up and pay quality attention to the voice of the people. At this state right now, this should not only involve the federal government, both state government and even local government should come together. At this point, I urge them to really, really pay quality attention and do everything within their power to see to how they can be able to attack this issue with immediate effect, They should provide quick aid and relief support for the people who have been affected and displaced by this disaster. This is the time they need to really sit up and make sure there is every means available for them to at least have a level of comfort at the IDP camps where they have been be reinstated to.
Okay. Now, something also caught my attention that you know ever since this thing happened, this dam collapse happened. I'm sure there is a body that is responsible for the management of that dam. There are people that have been the Ministry of Waters and all that that are being saddled with the responsibility of ensuring that that dam is properly taken care of. That a thing like this never happened. Now, but ever since this thing happened, nobody, I've not heard anyone come out to say, okay, this is what we are doing to ensure that the situation is being arrested. Because if the water keep on flowing, currently about 29 states has been affected. How many states do we have in the country? If 29 states is affected, what becomes the fate of other states? So I don't know, what can you say, about the silence of the people, the ministry in charge of this sector that is being affected, that have not said anything as regard, okay, what they can do. Is it to invite international body to support, to arresting the situation, or nothing has been said? I don't know what you can say. Is it that they are trying to tell us that the people, there is nobody managing the situation? Or better still, what do you think could have led? We've seen in this country that people are not appointed into office based on their capacity. People are not appointed into office based on their field, their ways of their areas of specialization. They appoint people sometimes based on people who will be loyal to them, based on people they can be able to control. Can you see that as the reason why we have this kind of devastating situation? Because I believe Jonathan Dangote Otedola was appointed to manage a malaria issue, in which we know that these people have nothing to do with the health sector. We have the ministry of the health ministers and all that. Why appoint businessmen to oversee the affairs of the health related sector? So do you think this kind of appointment is the reason why we have this kind of situation in the country now?
Well, this is Nigeria. There is one key thing I know about Nigeria. Once a thing is put in place, maintenance culture is always not considered or taken serious. First off, considering a dam collapse, from the story I gathered, I learned the dam collapsed. So one thing that to be certain things that to be considered. What are the possible causes of a dam collapse? What are the measures that have been put in place to avert these issues when they eventually show up? Okay, for example, now over 30 years, okay, let's say 30 years now, what are the measures that have been put in place to go and manage the dam? Are there a unit or a group of persons, or are there an organization that have been mapped out to do maintenance in the dam areas? Because if I must be correct, I think one of the things that can possibly cause a collapse in the dam can be probably due to slopy environments, earthquakes, and all of those things. Natural disasters can be one of the possible causes of dam collapse. So these things, over the years coming, what are the group of bodies that have been their attentions have been drawn to the dam and say, okay, this particular dam needs to be maintained. We need to map out time to go and to go see how we can be able to check if there is possibly going to be an issue, a futuristic problem that will emanate from the dam that will affect the communities and the people living in the communities. These are things that I feel should have been considered earlier enough. Getting to hear this now that it's happening after 30 years. So if there have been measures put in place to see to how these things can be maintained, I don't think we should be here talking about this today. Now the dam is it has caused a lot of disaster, taking lives, taking property, destroying livelihood, and all of the rest of them.
Okay, you see, the thing is that this flood thing has really is really a mega problem in Nigeria currently. But now there is a the federal government intervening. Zulu, the governor of the state governor, is saying that federal government allocated 3 billion naira for rehabilitation of the victims. Now, we all know, we know that in Nigeria, when there is a situation, some people it's a turn needs to begin to make merchandise, to benefit from it.
Mm.
Now, how do you see this 3 billion being mapped out now? Well, how do you see it being managed to ensure that the people who have been affected are properly administered to? What do you think, or what can you say that the government need to do? It's not enough to give out money. Just imagine in the country we are saying there is no money, and of course we know that 3 billion wouldn't have been spent in maintaining, in ensuring, and preventing this occurrence. But now it has happened. Do you think? How do you think this money should be channeled to ensure that it gets to the people that needs it? It gets to the people that are being affected. So what do you think, aside the federal government releasing the money, what do you think they should do? Because we know that, of course, corruption has eaten deep from the top to bottom in Nigeria government. What do you think the federal government should do to ensure that people who are suffering are being attended to, and not people who are not being affected getting the money into, keeping the money to themselves?
Okay, I think Tinubu through Shetima has offered 50 trucks of rice. So this is another way in which the in which the suffering can be lessened amongst the displaced persons. There should be, apart from insemination of rice and food items, there are other relief items that I feel federal government should put in place, at least to some levels, be able to make the people feel a little bit of comfort, so as to manage the situation at hand, pending when the flood issues will be attended to. The government should be able to put certain things in place apart from offering rice and the rest of the food items. There are other things that should be considered. Things like first aid items, medical facilities, and all of the rest of them that can actually help the people in terms of their health, because this is not just a food this is not just a disaster that requires food support alone. It requires both support in terms of health. So these are areas I think the government needs to also do their best and do everything possible to put certain measures in place.
Okay. You see, we are going to come back to that health sector because currently, the zoo was equally, the wall of the zoo collapsed, and the animals, snakes, all sort of crocodiles, so many dangerous animals are now in the streets everywhere. But before we go into all that, the governor of the state announced that 10,000 naira has been released to the flood victims. Now, considering the current situation of the country, what do you think that 10,000 can do for a family of 6, a family of 8? We all know how productive, how fruitful the people of the northern part of Nigeria people can be. What do you think 10,000 can do, and how long can it sustain? Currently, judging from the current situation of food price and all that, what do you think 10,000 can do? And again, is this 10,000, is this the sharing of the 3 billion that was released from by the federal government? Because now the next thing we see is international bodies sending support and all that. How will this thing get to the people? Now, 10,000 naira for a family. How do you think is the right thing to do? Because People will eat in the morning, people will eat in the afternoon, the children will eat medicals. We are going to come to that. So how do you see this 10,000 naira being distributed to each family helping the situation?
Now, let me begin from my own home. Um, um, by the grace of God, I have a wife and I have a daughter. 10,000 naira is just for a square meal. So I wonder why 10,000 will be disbursed to flood victims, people who have been displaced, they have been bereaved of their homes, their livelihood has been ruined. So I wonder why 10,000 naira should be what is considered for a family that most of the northerners I know of very well. They have at least eight families, they have 8 children plus father and mother. Some of them have 7 children plus father and mother. So 10,000 naira is just like nothing. It's almost like nothing to write home about. So I am really really worried and concerned that 10,000 naira is being disbursed to each of the flood victim. That is not a good start. This is not time federal government should be bent on how they want to share money amongst themselves. They should release the money to the purpose of which the money has been released for. It is not time where they want to consider how much goes to my own pocket, how much is going to my own private account. This is time they should really, really come to rescue and come to aid of these people who have been victimized by the flood.
Okay, yeah, people who have been victimized by the flood should be able to benefit from whatever the government has released. 3 billion naira from the federal government. We know, of course, that before now there will be support from other channels which should be channeled to alleviating the effects of the flood on the people. So now let's take this story further. Now, judging from the situation now, what do you think? You talked about food not being the only challenge for the affected people now. We have the health because, of course, there's going to be outbreak of some diseases. The children now are not, they don't have access to good water. Now, what do you think? How do you see the federal government? Now, considering the fact that our governments are not taking care of our health sectors, our government, and now, before now, there have been states where students have not been able. Just imagine the federal government allowed the pump price to have to prevent students from resuming. Now as it is now, we mentioned that food is not the only attention the people need. They need they should be health care. There should be other care because they've been displaced from their homes where they have at least some measures of comfort. So now, what do you think the federal government, or what can you say that the federal government should be doing now in terms of health and to also prevent the outbreak of diseases like cholera, malaria, and all that? What do you think the government should do now in a time like this?
There is no doubt about the fact that diseases and illnesses will break out. There is no doubt about that fact, because anything that comes with flooding, anything concerning flood or anything as regards flooding, it usually comes with different kinds of illness. Things like cholera will break out and some other diseases that are water related. So this is a time whereby, that is why I earlier said in my earlier speech, I earlier said this is the time governments, both federal, states, local governments, and otherwise, have to come together, team up, and be able to curb this situation with immediate effect. This is the time that they really need to put strategic things in place, not just food disbursement or cash disbursement. They should also look into the health sector of the country, and considering the present state of the displaced persons, there are certain measures that needs to be considered as regards the health sector. They have to make proper available means for people who will be affected in their health to be attended to. This is the time where the federal government really needs to sit up and attend to this urgent and pressing request.
Okay, the truth now is that the federal government, if appointments are made based on people's areas of specialization, we will not be talking about this now. Now, all I want to say, on a final note, is that this dam collapse has happened, the flood has taken place, people have been displaced, properties have been destroyed, lives have been lost. As it stands now, they cannot really give us the exact figures of the life that have been lost.
Lost,
It's
exactly.
not possible.
Mm.
Now, but the thing now is, what are the federal government doing to ensure that some people don't take advantage of this situation? Take advantage in time of the rice, the bags of rice or the trucks of rice that have been released. How are they managing it to ensure that they ensure it gets to the appropriate quarter, to ensure that the right people they gets it? Now, what are they doing to ensure? Now, 30 years now, before now, this thing happened, and now it's happening. It shows negligence. It shows that we don't prepare to prevent things from reoccurring. Now, what are the governments going to do to ensure that never in life will this thing happen? Just imagine how long it's going to take the federal government, the state government, the local government, and individuals to heal from the effects of this flood. So this is a case where people say that when two elephants fight,
The grass
the grass
suffers.
suffers. The
Exactly.
people now are like the grass, suffering the negligence of the federal government, suffering the effect of wrong people being given responsibilities to carry, just because of man no man, just because this person is my person, put him there, just because this person is my loyalist, let him be there, not based on competence. Is the reason why there is no reason, we've never had, there is no reason this thing should repeat itself. Judging from the effect it left on Nigerians when it first happened, there is no reason why this should repeat itself. Now, war don't just collapse without cracking.
Of course.
All right, so there is no how. It just like you are driving a car don't just break down at once. There must be warning. So are there not people around that are being paid by the federal government to ensure that they signal the government on things to do? And there be no case of, okay, the people saying, okay, this thing need to be done, and it was not done. So this is what when people who are supposed to take care of certain things fails in their responsibility, the masses suffers.
That is where I earlier talked about certain teams being put in place for maintenance purposes. 30 years coming now. This happened 30 years ago. Now, are there no measures that have been put in place for certain bodies to be able to at least go once a year or twice a year to maintain that particular dam, to have for it to have collapsed? There should be a team that have been put in place to manage or oversee the general affairs of the dam and the environment. At least people will be passing the environment, they'll be seeing cracks on the wall, or just like I earlier said, what are the possible causes of dam collapse? It could be like probably earthquake or slopy, maybe the as a result of constant downpour, what's it called, erosion have swept some of the surroundings, or the places that surrounds the dam, and probably some apart from earthquake and what's it called, heavy downpour, some other natural disasters must have been one of the possibly factors that must have warrant the collapse of the dam. So these people are to issue out or
alert the government,
yes,
of what they need to do
to avert a situation like this.
That is true. The truth is that we have people who are negligent. We have people who, just imagine, we have most of our governors who are not. Yesterday, our guest analyst mentioned something. He was speaking from Imo State. He said that in their state, their governor that the number of days he stays in the state can be counted in a year. He stays few days in the state, other days in Abuja, other days in abroad, and we see the same thing happening when people are overseeing a place outside the place. All right, it's possible we have the minister, who is the person who is responsible, who is
for the
maintenance, who is not there, who will place some boys there and say watch over the place. People who might not know anything about dam management. So now look at where we are now. Look at now additional problem to the problem. Recently there was a protest based on realities. All the agendas that were presented during that protest has not been attended to. And now we have this case. Imagine 29 states being affected. How fast, how rapid can the healing of the effects? You know what it takes to build a house now. You know, it is not easy. People who have built their house and they are now happy that they are not they will no longer pay rent and all that. And now their house has been pulled down. So many things have been destroyed. Their businesses have been destroyed. So it becomes a major problem now that people are homeless, people are hungry. You know, people were hungry and now they are homeless. It has become a very big situation. But we hope and we look forward to seeing your comments, your view on this. What do you think the federal government should be doing? What do you think should be their? See, how do you think they should react to the situation now? Is it a time for them to pay their deafness, or is it a time for them to listen to the cry of the people? Of course, this is a reality. It's not about the people talking. They can see it. We saw a video of even the vice president in the pool of water. All right, so this is reality, and we are hoping that the federal government will ensure that whatever money they are releasing, whatever palliative, you know, we've seen that this government they dwells more on palliative. Exactly. Whatever palliative they are giving out, they should ensure that they follow it up. They should ensure that they monitor it to ensure that it gets to the right and appropriate people. All right. So we look forward to seeing your comment. And what do you think the government should be doing? What do you think should have been done to avert this situation? Now that it has happened, what do you think they can do to ensure it never happen again? We'd like that you drop that on our comment section. We'll go on a quick break now. And when we come back, we'll continue with you on other interesting stories. Please stay put.